Welcome to the Scoop World Order. I've got my two compadres. I've got the bank, Bill Greene. I've got Nevadabuck. We are 2 weeks out from the home opener against the Minnesota Gophers. Start with you, Nevadabuck. What do you see these next 2 weeks holding? Camp's basically over. Next week is kind of like an extra week, and then we've got a short week. So tell me what you're hearing is going to go on over the next 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, what you've got to think about this almost like a bye week during the regular season, where you've got a bye week and then you go into a game week preparation. So next week will be a little more light, a little bit. I'd imagine they'd go back to focusing on the fundamentals, go back to some of those things, and then after that they're going to be in full blown preparation mode for Minnesota, and they're starting to put things in already. And the first part of that is obviously setting the depth chart. And I think we've seen the depth chart start to kind of take form here over the last, certainly through the whole fall camp, but certainly over the last few days, it's starting to crystallize, after the big scrimmage the other day. So, I think we'll see things become a little bit more obvious about who's going to be playing, where they're going to be playing. And, I'm ready for the season to start. If it's ready to kick off tomorrow, I'm certainly ready to go.
What are you thinking, Bank?
Yeah, I agree with Nevada there. I think they might hit a little bit more here in the next 3 or 4 days, and then that's it for that, I would think. You want to have everybody healthy, rested. I think playing on a Thursday, I don't think it means much when it's your opener, because you can time it out perfectly. It's not like in the middle of the year if you end up with a Thursday night game or something where it gets kind of weird. So I don't think preparation will be any different than the way they normally do it. But I think, like Nevada said, getting that depth chart finalized. And for me, I'm just looking to see, what they release in terms of the O-line and what they release out there in terms of how they're going to play the back seven, and again, I went through this with the Tressel era when, he'd release those depth charts. And I used to always say it was done by the drunken night watchman. You couldn't believe them. The depth chart actually starts when they run on the field. So I really want to see how they play the back seven. And I want to see if DeJuan Jones starts on the O-line, because I think he takes them to a different level O-line wise than Matt Jones would.
Yeah, I personally think that DeJuan has pretty much locked that spot up just because of his talent. He's locked in. He's fearsome when he's out there. Like, he's a guy that I would be scared to go against if I was a 3 technique, just because if he gets into you on a double team, he's going to kill you. And with a young quarterback, you need a guy that can clear the way out for Trey Henderson and for Mayan Williams, because you're going to have to lean on the running game early on, especially, all these quarterbacks are 19 and 18 years old. We don't have any 5th-year guys that have been seasoned and been on the road, which is why I thought it was really smart of Ryan to go to Canton today, put them on the bus, let them listen to their music for 2 hours, drive up 71 and, go into a foreign locker room, put on the pads, get taped at a different place than at the Woody. And that's something Trust used to do. It's kind of like, it just kind of seemed as a road game. Like, you don't have to like actually go on the road, but they kind of did. And they made it into a fun trip to the Hall of Fame. But I like that, because when you have a young quarterback and they're all young, none of them have played a meaningful, they played like a snap against Clemson or whatever, but it's not like they've never started a game and national TV and all that. So, but I'm looking for the rest of this week. I think they're going to scrimmage the next 2 days, get it in pretty good. They'll give them Sunday off, full day off, get out of the hotel on Saturday. And then, it's basically it's a bye week, game week prep. And the beauty of playing on a Thursday in the opener is then you get an extra day of prep for Oregon, which is huge. You get it. You can give them Friday off, bring them in on Sunday and practice Sunday, practice Monday, and get rolling towards Oregon. So I love that. Bank, early in the season, what do you think the offense will look like against Minnesota?
Well, I think they're going to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, and I think you're going to see, the trend probably swing back toward more of a power running look in college football, because everybody's going to the 5 and 6 DBs now. nobody plays three linebackers. Well, I saw a team try to play four one time and it didn't work out real well. So the way you attack that is you run the ball right at them. So, and I think Ohio State with those four monsters out there, I think they're perfectly set up to just pound the ball, and they've got a lot of backs that, they should always have a fresh guy on the field at all times. And I think Minnesota is going to play Ohio State. They have to be worried sick about Olave and Wilson and Jackson Smith and Jigba. They're probably going to play some form of a too high look with the safeties 20 yards off the ball, probably 5 DBs on the field. And the way you obliterate that is to just run the ball down their throat. So that's what I'm looking for early in the year. And I think it also plays into CJ Stroud, where you don't expect him to go out and he be the focal point of the first game on the road. The best way to silence a road crowd is those 80-yard, 12-play, 6-minute tractor pulls where you just cut the heart out of the opponent. And it just kills the crowd to watch your team get steamrolled. So that's what I'm expecting. They could come out and throw the ball on the first 20 plays the way Tress did in the Rose Bowl with Pryor. You never know. I think they're going to power run the football because I think Minnesota is going to play 5 DBs, 2 safeties deep.
What do you think, Nevada?
Yeah, no, I think, I think Bank hit on an important part. It's kind of like, what's the evolution of modern offenses and what the direction everybody's going. And I think what people want to do now and what they're finding is the one way to slow down these fast break RPO high powered offenses is to keep the ball and possess it on the other side of the ball. And so it's kind of almost a return to Trestle ball, where if you can run the ball, grind the clock, keep your defense off the field, there's some advantages to that go beyond the offense that extend to the defense. And I think that does inure to Ohio State's, benefit. I think the challenge for them is going to be, frankly, that Trey Henderson's so explosive with the ball that, he's going to take the ball and he's going to break a 70-yarder, and then the defense is going to be back out there on the field again. So, I'm not sure if we'll have the grinding ones. I've never seen anything quite like the explosiveness of Trey Henderson at running back. And I at the risk of overhyping a kid and getting expectations sky high, he's something special, and he's going to be fun to watch. And behind that massive offensive line, and with teams having to respect the wide receivers, which is the best collective group of wide receivers that we've ever had at Ohio State, it's going to be fun. And I think he's going to have a lot of room to run, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm going to unleash my scorching hot take of the day. I think Trey Henderson's better than Maurice Clarett was, which is insane for people that know Maurice Clarett, and I think the world of Maurice Clarett. But I think his mindset, I think his breakaway speed, his physical. I mean, they're both incredibly physical. I think that the biggest benefit that Maurice had is that he had Maurice Hall and Lydell Ross as backups instead of Mine Williams and Master Teague and that type of guys. But I think Trey Henderson's got a better offensive supporting cast. I think he has a better offensive line. I just don't know if he'll have the volume of carries that Maurice Clarett had in 2002, but I think he's a better back. And I hate to say that because I love Maurice Clarett. He's one of the top 2 or 3 backs, him, Zeke, Archie Griffin of all time for me. But I think he's really good, and he's definitely quicker. So I mean, in terms of the breakaway runs, like I think it's going to be something to see him, see how much they mix him in. And the thought of him, just being a freshman and having him for 2 more years after this year is very exciting. Do you have you got anything that hot, Nevada? And that's a pretty hot take, saying that a kid that we've never seen play is better than Maurice Clarett, but I'm going to go with it. If I eat that one, I'm fine with it. I feel confident in it. But you got any hot takes like that?
Yeah, I'll go with Jack Sawyer will have more than 5 sacks in the first 5 games. How about that? That'll be a sack a game the first 5 games for Jack Sawyer. That's my scorching hot take. I think Jack's going to be. I think the world's going to get an education about how good he is. He is we always laugh about who the next Bosa is going to be, and we talked about him being the next Bosa. I mean, he is the next Bosa. His hand usage and arm movement, and it's way advanced for a guy that's a true freshman, and he's somebody who's exceptional to watch, and I can't wait to see him on the field. if they line him up in that rushman package, bring him off the edge, he's going to get to the quarterback. And so that's my scorching hot take.
What about you, Bank?
Nothing scorching hot. You know me, man. I'm usually the laid back reserve.
The cool one.
Yeah, I got to see it first. But I really hope Tommy Eichenberg gets some run. I hope he's healthy. I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about him, and I predicted great things for him when he was a high school player. And I just hope Tommy Eichenberg gets on that field. And my feeling is once he's out there, you're not going to get him off that field. So that's kind of my hot take. I just hope he gets a shot and can prove what he can do. I think he's a 3-down backer. He's, in the AJ Hawk mode that you never have to take him off the field. He can cover. He is an amazing tackler. He doesn't miss. He can run sideline to sideline. And the thing that he has a knack for that I don't think you can coach is he can blitz the quarterback. He knows the angles. He knows how to get through the wash. I don't know that that's something that can be taught. I think it's inherent. And I think he had it all through high school. So I really want to see Tommy get on the field, and I think he's going to be great. And if he's not, like you said, I'll eat it and buy that one. But I really think he has everything he needs to be an NFL player and a great player at Ohio State.
Yeah, I know they're both Bucks. I'd love to see him and Cody Simon be the two linebackers that are on the field consistently. Because Cody Simon is out of this world good. I think him and Trey Henderson are my two homies. So I'm riding with them. Well, I love DeJuan Jones, Paris Johnson. I think surprisingly, we might look back in a few years and wonder if which side of the offensive line is more talented, the right side or the left side. Is it Nick Petit-Frere and Thayer, or is it Paris and DeJuan? Like that was something I was thinking about coming on the air because, like that right side really fascinates me because PJ is a freak show. I mean, we saw him at camp and he looks like a mutant. And DeJuan, now that he's like dedicated and locked in, is like, they don't make guys that are that big that can move that well and are that massive and physical. So I'm excited to see the offensive line come rocking off the ball and, crush some of these 3 techniques and dent the defense and let these running backs cut back into the lanes and take it to the house. Quick question, Bake, because I know you love Tommy Eichenberg. What do you think of Liam Eichenberg when he was coming out?
Oh, loved him, man. Loved him. Well, wasn't he like one of the first guys Urban offered a scholarship to?
I'm not
the underclassmen. I think he was offered.
We offered Jimmy Byrne was when Urban was like Jimmy Byrne was like a sophomore.
Yeah,
we offered him off of JV film, and then Liam was like a year later. Maybe.
Yeah, he got offered really early too, and I don't think he played much. And I think they just trusted Chuck Kyle on that one.
Well, you want to know something hilarious? So the CEO, when I got out of coaching, got my MBA done, went and worked for an insurance firm. The CEO of my insurance firm was an Ignatius guy, and his son played at Ignatius. And he's like, "Hey, could you come work out my son and his friend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, when you're a new insurance guy, you'll do anything to not get fired. So yeah, sure, I'll come work him out." And it was his son who was, like an okay high school kid, but he wasn't like a college kid. But then there's Liam. I was like, holy cow, this kid's unbelievable. And like I loved the kid. I worked him out for about an hour and a half and had him blocking drills, dox boxing, pulls, like all kinds of stuff. And I remember I called Pantone and I was like, man, this kid he's awesome. Like I don't know if you guys are on this kid or not, but I would go on him like in a millisecond if you could. And I met Chuck Kyle. I think the world of Chuck Kyle. I think he's an amazing, probably the best coach in the history of Ohio. And
he's the best.
And I told him, it's like, look, I'm just trying to, it was a favor. I'm not trying to disrespect you or anything. I was just, I wanted to help my CEO's son out. So don't think this is, I can't. You've forgotten more football than I ever know. Like I don't want to try to disrespect Chuck Kyle because he's got 20 state championships or whatever. But I remember working Liam out, and I still talk to Liam. He's with the Dolphins now, and
okay.
I've been talking. I talked to him the whole time he was at Notre Dame. He's such a great kid. I wish he would have been a Buckeye, but obviously our line's been fine. But I just, it's funny. Like I still talk to Ethan Posick. I still talk to Orlando Brown Jr., who's starting at left tackle for the Chiefs. I was texting him the other day, and those are all kids that I hosted at Ohio State that I really liked and have kept in touch with. But yeah, I always wondered what you thought of Liam, because we got Tommy, but we didn't get Liam. I would have loved to have Liam here.
Yeah, we ranked him really high. He came out with Tommy Kramer. They both were really good. We had Tommy ranked higher, but I think Liam ended up as the better player.
Oh yeah, he's a second round pick.
Yeah,
You know, I
not
mean,
even close.
at the end of the day, it's like once the draft comes around, you can really determine like
Right,
who ended up the
right.
better player. I mean,
No doubt.
pretty cut and dry. So Beg, I'm gonna stick with you. You had some news on Sonny Styles. Give us a little update on Sonny Styles. You're gonna watch him tomorrow. Massillon Tigers, Pickerington Central.
Right.
That's gonna be a massive game up in Massillon. So you only got to drive 10 minutes away. Give me a little bit of update on Sonny Styles.
Yeah, I had always heard all along that, he was kind of a Notre Dame lean. And that was like 51-49%. Never had him going there, but I thought, they were in really good shape. And, Marcus Freeman is an amazing recruiter. We're seeing it already, what he's doing. And then I did have a conversation with someone last week that I trust explicitly. And that person told me, don't believe what's out there. He is an Ohio State, not just a lean, but they're the clear leader. Ohio State is the absolute clear leader. Loves his brother and all that. But the guy told me, Sonny is actually talking to other recruits about coming to Ohio State. So, I totally shifted my position then from 51-49, slight lean for Notre Dame to Ohio State as the clear leader. Now the kid's just entering his junior year. There's a ways to go here. And I don't expect a commitment, before the first of the year next year at the earliest, but I think Ohio State is perfectly positioned to land Sonny. And I think he really likes the idea of playing that hybrid role at Ohio State where they can, depending on who they're playing, how they would use him. He could be in coverage. He could be blitzer, he could be run stopper. And I think that's really appealing to him rather than just being pigeonholed as a linebacker or a safety.
So what position coach recruits the bullet, the hybrid role?
Well,
is that Al?
With Sonny, it's mostly Al,
Okay.
Al Washington, but Kerry Combs has got his hand in there too.
Mhm.
And, it was great that Sonny came to camp for 2 days and we saw him and he spent one full day with Kerry Combs, and then he spent one full day with Al Washington, which I thought really might have turned the tide a little bit for Ohio State. Instead of being there for 1 day where you're kind of going back and forth between the two coaches, he got to spend 2 full days with each coach. And,
and then after
I think
practice,
Al Washington is the main dude here.
Then after practice, he was working out with Larry Johnson, working on pass rusher moves. So it was it was the whole buffet of techniques from Ohio State. And
and I think that's how they're recruiting him is just that hybrid Isaiah Simmons guy that we can put you anywhere. We're going to do a ton of things with you. You'll be the focal point of this defense and you'll be fully prepared to head right to the NFL and play in any system that whoever drafts you has for you.
Nevada, what kind of impact would Sonny have on our defense if we got him?
Well, I mean, that's a high impact guy. I mean, that's a guy that's, as Bank mentioned, he's not only a guy that's going to help you, with Ohio State and with the team, but he's going to help recruit the rest of your players. It really just be an attraction for other players to come. And, I think my sources on Sonny have been a little bit more bullish than Banks were, at least initially, because I've always felt that he would end up at Ohio State. Certainly nothing, that's not a total prediction or a lock in stone or anything like that. But the people that I talked to have always felt pretty good about Sonny coming to Ohio State. And, Bank likes to say, watch what they do, not what they say. And with his actions, he certainly seems to be interested in Ohio State. And I think there's some behind the scenes stuff that's happening as well that certainly would indicate it for the Buckeyes. And it'd be a good get at a really important position for them, that bullet position, because that bullet position is really kind of the key to the Ohio State defense. It's the thing that they can use to try to, battle the modern offenses. And I think Ohio State realizes that. So you need to have special players playing a special position, and Sonny's certainly a special player.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do a little, it's kind of a question I've been wondering to you guys, because, recently I nailed the mystery bold prediction quarterback thing. I said there's going to be a quarterback that was going to show up, and sure enough, my guy Quinn Ewers showed up before camp, and a lot of people didn't believe me. Nevada, you've had about 1 million nuggets where you've broken information. Have you had a particular favorite one over your 25 plus years of doing this, where you're like, you know, you had a lot of doubters. You kind of had that ace in the hole. You knew that you're confident in it. Have you had one that just stuck out and you're like, man, I couldn't wait when this news kind of came to light, and then you're able to be, I guess, you know, proven correct?
I mean, it's hard to not be excited about JT Tumalon. So the way that all broke down and the way that people were all following that one, and I kind of felt like I had that one on rails from the beginning. I had a really, really, really good source. He kind of laid out for me exactly how this would come down, what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, and by gosh, if it didn't all come down that way, and when things started falling into place, you're like, wow, this is really going to happen, and to finally get that announcement, and that one felt as good as anyone that has felt in 25 years of doing it. So that maybe that's recency bias, or maybe I'm getting old, but that one felt pretty good.
Oh God, like the edits coming out, like the Oregon edits, and yeah, that was a blast. That was such a strange one. It's such a long one. It's like the prior recruitment. It was just weird. It didn't happen on signing day. It was drug out. Bank, what about you? You've had to have had some where like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, give me a couple. You're like, oh, I got info, and people think, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or go ahead.
One that was not so popular was last year when Tamisi Adalea committed to Ohio State, and I immediately had him on decommitment watch within 10 minutes. And they were like, people are like, oh, it's his dream school. He loves Larry Johnson. I'm like, okay, yeah, good luck with that. I got dudes in Florida. My dudes know. And then the flip side of that was the Hancock deal when he was committed to Clemson. And I was saying all along, I'm not buying it. I don't think so. You know, one I was proud of was this year, Kirk, at camp, when lunchtime came about and all the out of shape, overweight OSU guys that cover recruiting that were at camp all head out to Canes, you know, to have lunch. Like they really need all that food in the middle of the day. And me being the health nut, of course, I'm not going to go eat that slop. So, no, I don't mean slop. I love Canes, but I'm not going to lunch in the middle of the day. So I'm watching in the indoor facility, I'm watching Kevin Wilson work out a kid that I thought he looked familiar. Well, it turned out to be the Charlie Kenridge kid, committed to Purdue. And I'm watching this workout, and you know, there's different workouts. You can work out a kid as a favorite of his dad that you played with in college. This was a real freaking workout. They put Charlie Kenridge through everything you could possibly put a guy through. They filmed it. Kevin Wilson, this was very intense. And I thought, and I wrote right then, there could be something going on with the tight end position here at Ohio State. With two committed, why is Kevin Wilson working out Charlie Kenridge like, you know, they're looking at him for the first round pick in the draft? So that was just a tea leaf reader there. No one had told me anything. I don't know. It didn't look right to me that a team with two tight ends committed would put 45 minutes into Charlie Kenridge. And they didn't offer him, but it showed me that there was something going on in that tight end room. And then a month later, Benji Gosnell decommits, and it's like, yep, I knew it. I just knew something was going on there with the tight ends. And that comes from being, I'm going to say experienced, but probably from being old.
Do you think, I mean, that wasn't Benji's decision to decommit, was it? I mean, in your opinion,
I don't know. I mean,
you don't know. I mean, it just, because I don't think we're taking a second tight end.
You know, well, I mean, they worked out another tight end when they had two committed. They sure as heck didn't need three.
Yeah.
So it just raised my antenna that there was something amiss in the tight end room. Mm-hmm. So I wrote it. And then finally, you know, Benji's out of the class for whatever reason.
Yeah, those are good ones. Did you, I was thinking you're going to say the Andre Walker one. Did you break the Andre Walker one when he gave you that the night before, or just not believe that when he said, hey, I'm going to Hollywood?
We have to talk about that.
Oh, I love the old
Andre Walker. Yeah, I mean, that kid, I had a great relationship with that kid. Yeah. And I was actually up at Glenville a week before signing day. And Andre Walker pulls me aside into one of the side hallways. And it's like, bro, you're my dude. I got a scoop for you. I'm like, yeah, okay. What's your scoop? And he's like, I'm going to USC. He goes, you can write it. He goes, but don't quote me. He goes, but you'll look like a star when you say I'm going to USC. I'm like, dude, you're going to Ohio State. You're Glenville. Every Glenville kid goes to Ohio State. I said, just shut up, man. I thought he was totally messing with me. And he was like, bro, I'm giving it to you. I'm handing you this one because you're my dude. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So naturally, I came back to scout and wrote that Andre Walker, absolute lock to Ohio State. You know, I thought he was messing with me. And then here the dude commits to USC and it was like, bro, I gave it to you. I'm like, yeah, I know. How was I supposed to believe you? You told the truth. Like I got fooled.
Did anybody have that? Or
No,
was that just
of course
so
not.
that was
No.
like so everyone had the crystal ball or whatever to
Eddie
Ohio
Ginn
State.
didn't even have that one. Ted Ginn didn't have it. I mean, the guy, he totally fooled me. He told me the truth.
Do you remember that one, Nevada?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? That was like such a meltdown, and people were lining up on the ledges.
Oh,
You know,
God.
Ohio State's never going to win another game. We lost this guy to SC. It's over. And, you know, somehow we managed to survive. And I always think when these things happen, when kids do stuff like that, I really think it says more about the kid in terms of what he's looking for, what his particular interests are, as opposed to Ohio State. And that's not a knock on any kid. I just think some kids want to get away from home. Some kids want to play for a different school. Some people want to see a different part of the country, you know, I mean, whatever it might be. But when stuff like that happens, I know people want to, you know, they want to have accountability. They want somebody to be, you know, wrong or have done something wrong or mishandled it. And sometimes kids just want to get away, and sometimes it works out. A lot of times it doesn't. And I think in Andre Walker's case, it probably didn't work out the way he thought it would.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like when we lose like a kid to like Kentucky, and I'm like, that kid picked Kentucky over not just us, but like Alabama, Clemson, and like you're going to Kentucky. I'll never understand that. Or like a kid that like goes to like Tennessee right now when that place is like just a quagmire of just turmoil and infractions and half the teams in the portal. Like I just, you know, it just strikes me as odd. Like if we lose a kid to Bama, I'm like, well, it's Bama. I mean, I expect us to lose kids to Bama because they're really good at what they do. And they've got an NFL head coach as their offensive line coach now. So of course they're going to pull good linemen, but I don't know. Beck, do you have any thought on that? Like when a kid just, you know, like a kid that's got like a really nice, once a kid gets a Clemson and an Alabama offer, then that's like the top of the food chain offer. And then they end up going to like Kentucky. In my head, I'm also thinking of Kenyatta Goodwin. But like, does it ever like raise like a red flag to you when a kid doesn't go to one of the power schools when they have those offers and they just go to somewhere kind of a little bit lesser?
No, not really. I mean, I think it all comes down to a lot of kids look at depth charts, you know, and they don't want to sit 2 or 3 years, you know, and then, you know, it usually comes down to that. And usually these kids they're 17, 18, 19 years old. They're very impressionable. And you have to form that relationship. You have to have the bond there. You have to be able to show that kid that you're the one that's going to make him realize his dreams. And the smaller schools, as you call them, they put out charts that show like not every old lineman starting the NFL is from Ohio State or Clemson. They're not. So that doesn't really, that doesn't really impact me at all. I mean, I've done this so long that my thing is like when a kid leaves the state of Florida and comes to Ohio State, he's considered really, really smart, to go 1,000 miles from home for college. But when an Ohio kid leaves Ohio to go to another school, he's considered really, really stupid for leaving his state, and it's all message board stuff. I love it, but it doesn't really affect me. It really doesn't.
No, I totally get what you're saying about that. Cause it's just like for me, because we did depth charts. I mean, I had to build depth charts for Kyle Dotson. I got to build on, here's the guys that are starting at USC, and half the time it's hilarious because we'll see the depth charts, like people make them our school of Ohio State. They'll put like a walk-on junior as like the second team right tackle. Like, oh, look, they got a junior starter now, and they got a sophomore starter, and then they got a junior right tackle. And
they got 5 tackles.
Well, yeah, and now with the era of the transfer portal, it's like that depth chart can change like we've already lost two of our tackles, two backup tackles that were probably going to be in our 2 deep have already transferred out. So that depth chart could change in a blink now. And or you could go get a kid. You could get some kid who's 2 years first team all MAC and he wants to come to Ohio State for you and play right tackle, and we take him. And like, or Jonah Jackson, who starts in the NFL as a rookie and was an outstanding guard for us for 1 year, came from Rutgers. It's like that depth chart doesn't mean anything anymore to me. But I don't know if kids see it that way. I just, if there's a track record, like if I'm a defensive back, like I'm gonna go play for Nick Saban. Like, I'm sorry, like there's no better DB's coach in the history of college football than Nick Saban. I mean, that's his trade. That guy is going to get you right.
And then if you're a linebacker, you definitely should come to Ohio State. They're going to put 4 or 5 on the field at one time.
We're going to play the 2-7-2 defense. Just get them all out there like the big wave. But I don't know. But yeah, I just like O-line. It's hard because Clemson has really no O-line presence in the NFL at all.
No, they got 2 shiny trophies in the last few years, but no presence.
I know. I know they've won 2 national championships with 2 generational quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. But like you look at their O-line, and I mean, Jackson Carman obviously got drafted more on I think talent than production. He's a young kid, he's super talented. But you look at like the past 15 years, and like you can't name some dominant O-lineman from Clemson. Bama's put a bunch in. We had a stretch where we really didn't do jack between kind of like Lascelles, Nick Mangold. There was about a 10-year stretch where we didn't really do anything, but now we're really on a nice uptick of guys getting drafted and producing in the NFL, with Norwell getting a big contract, Corey Lindsley getting a big contract, Taylor Decker getting a big contract, get a bunch of guys getting drafted high. So that's on the uptick. Bama's always put guys in the league that are good and productive, but I don't know. So defensively, that's everyone's biggest concern. It's my biggest concern. Nevada, what is your biggest concern going into week 1 versus Minnesota?
Well, I think, my biggest concern really is just stopping the run. I know we can get after the passer really well. I know we've got guys that, that can really bend and can really get there. I think it's going to help having played against DeWand all fall, because they're going to see a monster there on the right side on Minnesota's offensive line. And Minnesota's going to want to run the football, possess the ball, keep it away from us. And, that's my biggest question. I think we'll be fine against them, at least in terms of the passing game, because they're not returning much in the passing game. But can we line it up and stop the run and take that part of the game away from them? And that's really what I'm going to be watching and kind of holding my breath against Minnesota, because if they can run the ball, that's going to be a closer game than people want. And if they can't run the ball, that game's going to get away from them in a hurry. So that's what I'll be watching.
What about you, Bank?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Ohio State's a better team, the more talented team by far. When you look at like the recipe for an upset, I'm not calling for that. But when you look at that, it's best to get that team early. I'm sure Minnesota is far happier to play Ohio State in week 1 than week 9 or 10, when injuries start to happen and depth becomes a factor, and then you get killed. This is the best time, because you've had, how long do you think PJ Fleck is prepared for this game? Longer than he would if you played him in week 7, when he gets 1 week to prepare. This has been a crusade for him for months. They do have an experienced quarterback. They will have the home crowd. They've got a great O-line. The defense is terrible, but they have some ingredients there that come into play for, like Nevada said, to hang in there. You know what I mean? They got a great power runner. That Ibrahim, he's a load. So I agree. If Ohio State stops the run, makes Tanner Morgan beat him throwing the ball, I think they're going to be in great shape. But if they can't get him off the field and they're eating time of possession, limiting OSU's possessions, and the longer that game stays close, the more pressure is going to be on CJ Stroud to make plays. And he's never thrown a college pass yet. And there he is on the road in a close, and then it gets kind of iffy. So I think, like Nevada said, if Minnesota cannot run the ball and then they get forced into some early mistakes, Ohio State takes advantage of it, builds a comfortable lead, then it's Katie bar the door then. But if they can run it and they can hang, limit possessions, puts a lot more pressure on CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do a quick over under and wrap this up. Over under number of quarterbacks we will see week 1. I'm gonna set it at 1. Do we see 1? I'm gonna go to you, Nevada, first.
I'm going over.
Over. Who do you think's the second quarterback in the game?
McCord.
Good. What about you, Bank?
Yeah, but I don't know. If it's a close game, you're going to get 1. If it's a blowout, you're going to get 2. And I think it'll be McCord. I haven't really done any preview yet of the game. I'll do that, a couple of days before. But yeah, I think McCord's the clear number 2 guy. So if it is over 1, put me down for Kyle McCord.
Yeah. Do you think that's because they think Miller's out the door, or do you think that he's just more talented?
I think McCord's a better football player.
Okay. And it's fair enough. I mean, he's higher rated. He's 5 stars, a year younger.
I think Kyle McCord is really good. And I think he's going to give Quinn Ewers all he wants. That's going to be a fascinating battle, more than I think the Stroud Miller thing, because I don't think that was all that much of a battle. But I think Ewers and McCord eventually is going to be a riot to watch.
Yeah. And iron sharpens iron, man. You get those two guys battling. I mean, it only benefits Ohio State football when you have guys like that pushing each other, because you can't take a day off. You can't take it easy. And I think it's gonna be fascinating. Like, I mean, it's the funny thing about the quarterback positions. People are worried about these guys leaving, and I'm like, well, what's the contrast is to take a Kenny Guyton or a guy that you can't, that's, and I love Kenny Guyton to death, but you can't really beat Alabama with Kenny Guyton. So it's like, you got to take a 5-star number 1 guy every single year. And next year, I mean, we saw a lot of the guys that they're in on, there's the giant kid, Nico. I mean, there's Nico, and then there's Jaden Davis. I mean, those are the guys we're going to be going after every year. So there's going to be another one coming in next year.
When the guy transfers out, you don't get awarded the job and are the clear number 1 quarterback at Ohio State and then transfer. That doesn't happen. The dude that transfers out has been beat out.
Yeah.
So you go get another one. You know what I mean? And so I don't worry about it. The way Ryan Day can recruit quarterbacks, someone leaves, you go get another one, looks just like him.
Oh, I mean, Ryan Day, like he's a beast when it comes to that, man. We went after that kid from Liberty, who's real good. The Willis kid. I mean, he would have probably started over any of the guys we had right now. He's fantastic. Because the portal's always going to be an option for us too. Because if there's some Justin Fields type sitting over there who's a superstar and he's got a year at a program and he's unhappy, or there's a coaching change, like that's the thing that I keep thinking about with the transfer portal, man, is like the way coaches get shuffled in and out of programs. Like, as easy as to transfer, if you're some star and some new coach comes in and you don't like them, you can leave and you can show up somewhere else and you're ready to rock, and you could go to that number 2 program, or maybe your position coach goes to Alabama or goes to Clemson and you're like, well, I'm going to go with them. Like, I don't know. I think that's going to be a lot more prevalent than people think. Anything else to wrap it up, Nevada? We are 2 weeks out. It's getting exciting. You want to talk about our movie premiere? We're about 10 days out from that. So talk a little bit about Fight for Football, and then we'll wrap this and call it a night.
Yeah, we're having our premiere of the documentary that we executive produced, The Fight for Football, the story of the cancellation and the saving of the season last year. And we're premiering that in Columbus, Ohio on August 30th. And you can get tickets. If you remember a Buckeye Scoop, it had all the information about how to get tickets. It's going to be at the Phoenix Theater at Lennox Center, or Lennox Theater, whatever it is. And I'm going to be there, and you and Mark Gibler and Tony and Tom and Dom Smith are all going to be there. It's going to be a great night, and really looking forward to making the trip in from California just for this. And that's how excited I am to see it, and I can't wait. And I hope I see a lot of the Scoop family and extended Scoop family at the premiere.
And you two haven't seen each other since we had our little meeting at Ocean Club, 2 years ago. So it's been a hot minute. Bank, you excited to see? I mean, to have the whole crew together. I mean, even Dominique's flying in for this one.
That's amazing. I
haven't met Dominique in person yet. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. No, my son lives in Columbus now. He's all jacked up, so he's gonna come with me.
Awesome.
I might even drag Carol in there. You never know.
Hey, she's having a ball right now, man.
She's having a ball. She's
Yeah.
in Vegas without me. So how could you not have fun without me?
Oh, that's
So no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a great night. I'm glad for my son to be able to come out, and he hasn't seen Ken since probably the Ohio State Michigan game of 06 or 09.
wow.
09. When was the Troy Smith game?
That was 06.
06. Yeah, I think it's the last time. My son was just a high school kid then. Now he's married and
Damn.
in his 30s, and he thinks the world of Ken. So that's going to be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I mean, of Nevada. I mean, not.
Who is this? Who's this?
Yeah.
The Voldemort of Ohio State football. he who has no name. I love
That's
it.
right. That's
yeah.
right.
Well, yeah, it's going to be an amazing night. It looks fantastic. Our trailer's online. Anybody that needs tickets, go to our pay it forward link on buckeyescoop.com. Just click on it. It's $20 a ticket. We had to rent the theater, to cover our costs, but it's going to be a blast. We kept the prices low. We want a lot of people there. We're going to do a question and answer afterwards. Going to be pretty wild. It's going to be fun. We have an after party at Town Hall, which is the best night spot in Columbus. We reserved an area on Monday night, and it's going to be fantastic. The owner is a good friend of ours. He's a friend of the Scoop. They are soon to be a sponsor of the Scoop, so it's going to be an outstanding night. And there's never been a better time to join Buckeye Scoop. Information is flowing. We've had training camp updates literally every day. We, our inside stuff's great. Our recruiting stuff is great. Our guys are killing on video. We have some big surprises that are coming as early as September 1st. So we're excited about that. It's going to be a great year. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to all of our Spreaker podcasts. We have our outstanding Morning Scoop, which is anchored by Tom Moore every day. We have, this, we have Vegas Knows, we have Gives in the Bank. So subscribe to SWO, subscribe to all of our podcasts. We appreciate you being a part of the Scoop family. And this has been the Scoop World Order.